My name is Linda, and I never thought revenge would ever become part of my life. I was the kind of person who always believed in forgiveness, in turning the other cheek, in family above all things. But life has a way of testing every belief you think is unshakable. It was Christmas, the one holiday that used to mean laughter, music, and warmth in my house. But this time, the warmth had been replaced with silence, the kind that chills you deeper than winter ever could. It started with a phone call from my daughter. Her voice was cold, clipped, deliberate. "Mom," she said, "I don't think it's a good idea for you to come this year. You're not welcome." Not welcome. Those words pierced me sharper than any knife could. My own daughter, the little girl I raised, the child I sacrificed everything for, was telling me that I had no place at her table. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just smiled to myself, though she couldn't see it, and told her I understood. When I hung up, my hand trembled, but my heart turned to stone. So I stayed home. While others feasted and laughed, I poured myself a glass of wine and stared at the flickering Christmas lights I had set up, more out of habit than joy. But in that silence, something inside me shifted. A woman who has given her entire life to her family, only to be pushed aside like old furniture, learns a dangerous truth. There is a power in walking away without a word. 2 days later, my phone lit up with 17 missed calls. 17. From my daughter, from relatives, from people who had always pretended to smile at me but never really cared. I didn't pick up. Let them wonder. Let them panic. Let them feel the weight of rejection for once. Because what they didn't know was that silence can scream louder than any angry outburst. They wanted me at that table, not because they loved me, but because they needed me. I was the glue that held them together, the one who cooked, the one who planned, the one who forgave every slight, every cruel word. But this year, I refused to play the part. I realized that sometimes revenge is not fire and fury. Sometimes revenge is absence. It's a chair left empty at Christmas dinner. It's the guilt in their voices when they call, desperate for me to return, and find only silence on the other end. I imagined them that day. My daughter pacing, her voice cracking as she asked, "Where's Mom? Why isn't she answering?" Her husband, awkward, avoiding her eyes. The rest of the family, uncomfortable, realizing they had driven away the one person who had never asked for anything in return. And me? I was at home, warm and calm, sipping my coffee with the peace of someone who finally understood her worth. The truth is, revenge doesn't always require destruction. Sometimes it requires patience. It requires letting people feel the coldness they once gave you. That Christmas became their punishment, not mine. They were the ones who had to explain the empty space at the table, the missing presents, the ghost of a mother they pushed away. And I knew in that moment they would never forget it. Because here's the thing about family: they believe you'll always forgive, always show up, always be there. But when you finally decide not to, when you finally let them sit in the emptiness they created, it terrifies them. And it makes them realize you were the foundation all along. For days after, the calls kept coming: apologies, excuses, voices breaking with regret. I listened to every voicemail, but I never returned a single call. My silence was my answer. My smile, though unseen, was my victory. Because I knew deep down they had learned a lesson they would carry forever: that a mother's love is not infinite when it is disrespected. It is strong, yes, but it can also be withdrawn. And so, that Christmas, I discovered the sweetest revenge of all. Not anger, not shouting, not trying to prove myself. The sweetest revenge was teaching them that I was not disposable, that I had value beyond what they wanted to take from me, that when they pushed me away, they lost more than they ever realized. I didn't need to storm into that house to make my point. I didn't need to scream or fight. All I had to do was disappear, and in my absence, they saw the truth. That was my revenge, and it was beautiful. I know some people will say it's cruel that family should always be forgiven, but tell me, is it cruel to let people taste the bitterness of their own actions, or is it justice, plain and simple? Because I have spent years swallowing my pain to keep the peace. I have carried the weight of everyone's mistakes so they could walk lighter. And the one year I needed love, they showed me the door. So I gave them silence. I gave them absence. And silence, when it's chosen, is the sharpest blade of all. It cuts deeper than shouting, leaves wounds that take longer to heal. Every call they made, unanswered. Every apology they whispered into my voicemail, unheard. Every night they lay awake wondering if I would forgive them, unanswered. That was my power. That was my revenge. When Christmas ended, the silence grew heavier for them than for me. They had to face the new year with guilt in their chests, with the knowledge that they had abandoned the one who never abandoned them. And me? I walked into that new year lighter, freer, untouchable. I had proven to myself that I was stronger than their rejection, that I didn't need their table to have a feast, that I didn't need their invitation to feel wanted, because in the end, revenge is not about destruction, it's about transformation. It's about reminding yourself that you were never powerless, that sometimes the strongest move you can make is simply walking away and letting the echo of your absence haunt them forever. That Christmas, my daughter told me I wasn't welcome. But in the days that followed, when her calls went unanswered, when her heart was heavy with guilt, she learned the truth. I was the one who made every holiday bright. I was the one who held the family together. And when I chose not to be there, they discovered what life was like without me. And I smiled, because sometimes the quietest revenge is the loudest.